Welcome back to the channel, guys. On today's episode we're going to be building a run to attach to our chicken coop so we can let our chickens out and they can come out for a few hours a day. And we're going to also build a door on this run so that we can let them fully free range. But first we gotta dig some holes. So I know there's a specific shovel built and designed for digging holes, but I'm old school. I like to do things the old way. So I just like using a regular spade, and we're gonna dig a hole for our first post. And the posts that we're gonna be using are 4x4, but if the width of the hole is anywhere from 10 to 12 inches, that still works fine. You'll see what I'm talking about when we get the posts in. Having a wide hole with the concrete around it, it will actually make it a little bit more sturdy than making the hole thin and long, if that makes sense. So we're gonna dig a hole, get all the soil out of there, and we went to the hardware store as you saw and purchased some bags of concrete specifically for putting in fence posts. And usually this stuff sets within about an hour or so. So what I'm doing is I'm just using my spade and loosening up the soil, trying to only go about the width of the actual shovel itself, trying to not make the hole too wide. We want to go straight down as possible. And basically I'll just go around the hole, around the edges with my spade, loosening up the soil. And once we get to about 2 to 3 feet, that's how deep we want each post to go into. Now that we got our hole finished, we can put our posts in, and basically we're gonna grab our bag of Quickset and we're gonna open it up. Usually on the top corner there's a pre-designed slit that's already in there that will make pouring a lot easier instead of ripping the bag up. You gotta basically get into the corner and pull one edge out, and then the rest will open up pretty easy. So I found typically we go through one bag of these of the post mix per post. So we're not adding any water to this, so we're doing this a little bit different. So once you got your post in, we're gonna surround the post with the actual concrete without adding any water yet. What I like to do is get the post in where you want it and fill all around it. It's gonna hold itself up, so it's not as difficult as it looks. So once you get enough of the concrete mix in there, it will hold itself. And typically what I like to do before adding any water to this, I like to eye it, make sure it's straight, and then I'll grab a level and I'll just make sure that it's level on all sides. So you want to check the north or south side of the post, and then the east or west side of the post, and that way you can make it perfectly level. So I'm gonna do the right side of the post, have that side centered, and then once I get the right side perfectly centered, then we're gonna go to another corner and check that side. So like I said, if you do the north, south, east, and west, it will generally be perfectly level. So you only really need to do 2 sides to make sure it's perfectly level in the middle. And once we get it perfectly level, then we can grab a bucket of water and we can mix it to our dry concrete mix. So even though this is just a run that we're building, we don't need to be like 100% like right on the bubble, if that makes sense. But just because I'm kind of a perfectionist when I do this type of stuff, I want to make sure it's perfectly level. So once you have it pretty level, like if you're doing this also and you don't have a level, you can just use your eye and kind of eye it out so that you can tell if your posts are in straight, because it's just for the run. We're not building actual walls onto these posts. We are going to be running chicken wire to it. the next step is adding some water to this. So typically I like to pour the water in a little bit slow in the beginning. You just want to make sure the water doesn't run past the hole that you dug out for it, because you don't want the concrete to run off and just kind of run out of the hole. So once I have a little bit of water in there, I'll make sure the edges are mounded up a bit so the concrete can't spill out. We're not done just yet. We gotta kind of poke the concrete a bit because there is going to be air bubbles and gaps kind of trapped in there. But once you add the water in there and you poke it with a stick a couple of times, you can get rid of the air bubbles, and it will help the water penetrate all the way down to the rest of the concrete at the bottom. And to be honest with you, even if you're not overly careful with the water and you just add whatever you think is necessary, once you dig around 3 feet, you'll start noticing the hole itself will start, depending on where your property is, but usually it will start filling up with water on the bottom just from digging a hole naturally. So I'll use a stick and I'll mix it around, make sure the water's got its way all the way down to the bottom of the post. And like I said, you don't have to be overly picky with this part because it's wet outside and the hole will naturally fill itself with water itself just from you digging a hole. So once I have my water poured in there with the concrete, I'm gonna grab my level one more time, make sure it's perfectly level, because it could have moved a bit from pouring the water in there and poking the concrete with the stick just to get the air bubbles out. It could have moved an inch or two, but it looks fine, and I think this post is good to go. But it's pretty forgiving, so if you do move your post by accident, it takes about like 45 minutes for the stuff to dry and set, so you can adjust it as you need to. And even if you come back 10 minutes later and just double check if you thought the wind might have moved it or not. And once you get it level, that's pretty much it for this post. We're just gonna let the concrete dry and we can go on to digging the next post. So about an hour has passed now, and as you can see, the concrete is pretty firm to the touch. So this is what it looks like an hour later. It's pretty firm to the touch. It will leave my fingerprints still, but it's pretty firm. And we'll get our level, double check it's level still. Yep. Perfect. So originally we were gonna go square and put our next post here, but the boss wants the run to go further out here. But in order for us to allow room here for us to get by with a wheelbarrow, or just to be able to comfortably walk between the run and this tree, we need to put our next post where this doghouse is. So the run is gonna go on an angle from here to there, so that we give the chicken some extra room instead of having it just to here. So we'll make the run bigger, but we're not gonna go too close to the propane tank, so we're gonna have it right around where Noah is standing. But first I gotta get this doghouse out of the way. These doghouses actually come in pretty handy. At one point we had ducklings in there, and then another point we had baby chicks in there, and they come in pretty handy. And then lately we've noticed the neighbor's cat will come and sleep in it when it's cold because the neighbor doesn't let him in the house. So I'm gonna get my son to push this out of the way so we can clear that area, and then we can start digging our next post. Hey guys, so it's the next day. We got all of our posts put in. Just so you guys know, over here, this gap is where we're gonna put our doors so that we could access the run. And if we need to let them out to free range, we can do that. So let me show you all the posts that we got in and how we got this set up, and then we'll continue putting the next step is to put the chicken wire around the posts, and then once we're done that, then we can build the door. So here's 1, 2, and then we're going on an angle here, so just so you guys can understand what's happening. So there's the coop, we got one there. This is our second post here, and then we're going on an angle to this post. The reason we did that is so we can clear this way right here. So in case we want to get a wheelbarrow or just to be able to access and be able to move through without having to go around this whole tree. So we can have access through here. And then so the run is going to go on an angle to this post here. And then from this post, it's gonna go to that post and then behind the coop. So this is the remains of the original chicken wire that we had up for the run. So now we're gonna start running the chicken wire across the posts. So that's the next step. We're gonna try and salvage this chicken wire. So I'm gonna, as you can see, there's a bunch of staples all through this wood that was holding the old chicken wire in place. So I'm just gonna use my clippers here and use the sharp part and get it behind the staples and pop them all out. That way we're not damaging or ripping the chicken wire. There we go. There's no point of wasting it. There's nothing wrong with this chicken wire. We bought it last year, so it's still in good shape. And I got all the staples out, so I'm gonna stretch it out. And at least if we can reuse the existing chicken wire on the back part and then put a new one on the front so it looks nicer visually. So that's the game plan. We're gonna be using a stapler to put these staples into the wood. It's the easiest and quickest way of doing it. we got the whole back side done. I stapled the bottom corner. The top is loose right now, so we're gonna stretch it all the way to this post from the bottom, and then over to this post. We'll do the bottom first, and then we'll come back and stretch the top and pull it across. So we got the bottom stretched out, and then we're gonna continue it and stretch it to this post, and then our door is gonna be in here, so we're not running chicken wire into there. We got to build a door, and we'll show that step. It's probably gonna be one of the last steps, but right now we're gonna pull the bottom of this chicken wire, nail it to there, then go back over there where we started. We're gonna go over here and then staple the top part of the chicken wire and then run it across back to this post. So we're doing the bottom first, then coming back and doing the top. Now we go back to that post, this one here, and do the top part and stretch it out and nail it. So now you can see it's pretty stretched out. We're gonna continue pulling it all the way down, stapling it, and that should hopefully tighten it up real good. So now this is all tight. I forgot to bring the camera with me when I stapled it here, but you can see how many staples we put in. Might seem excessive, but you want this to be really tight. You don't want there to be any slack. The tension is really important, because also you're gonna have squirrels, raccoons, and chipmunks, everything else climbing this. So you want to make it as sturdy as possible.
Up doesn't reach.
Doesn't reach where?
The wood.
Here, let me see. Pull it over.
This thing's not enough. Just like. This is how I've been doing it. Like I just have to keep.
Yeah, I know.
That's why the staples are good, because you can just pop them out.
So do you want to keep it the same as this one?
Yeah, but I'm trying to keep it stretched.
I think we should try and keep it the same so it looks even.
This temporary one. I'm gonna go to the other one.
We had a goat escape and come all the way up. Let's just bring her back down. We gotta check the electric fence because it's probably off somewhere.
So I typically try and keep the original roll always attached until I'm ready to cut off the end that we don't need. That way it keeps the tension, that you don't have to worry about it rolling back up or loosening. So now that we have that finished, like I mentioned earlier, over here is gonna be a door. So we're gonna cut the chicken wire here, and then we're gonna put another row on the top part so that it can be taller so nobody can fly or jump in and out. One thing you want to make sure of is you overlap the bottom, the new one, over the old one, like the top one over the bottom one. If you don't overlap it by the time you get to that end, you're gonna have a gap. So make sure you overlap it. So same thing, staple the bottom. I'm gonna leave the top loose. And put a temporary staple in here. So that's a temporary staple to keep it up so it doesn't keep falling down.